when it comes to interior cleaning then, I'm not a big fan of using pump sprayers that are sort of atomizing chemicals where I'm in an enclosed space, sometimes indoors or outdoors, you know, with pretty poor ventilation. So I'm not a huge fan of doing that. So in that case then, what I'll do is I'll substitute this. Today we're talking traditional spray bottles, in this case diluted with an APC, which is Chemicals Polestar, in this case diluted at 1 to 10. That is a pH 7, which is I've put on there, which is neutral obviously. And then what we've got here is a little foam pumping bottle, often used for soaps and things like that. But what maybe people don't realise is how good these are and what their use case is in the car care industry. So this is also Chemicals Polestar, pH neutral, this time diluted 1 to 20, and that is basically the difference between these is because I use them for different things. So this one is great for using it outside. So as well as using Polestar, so I also have this Green Star, which is undiluted 12.5, also at 10 to 1, which I use 10 to 1 in normal pump sprays, and then I'm using 20 to 1 in my foamers. So when you're talking these traditional pump sprayers then, these are just, you know, really cheap pump sprayers off Amazon. You can get these in a 350 and a 500, so these are the 500 mils. When you're looking at IK pumps and everything, so, you know, stuff like that, they tend to get super expensive. So what I've done is I think it was a 6-pack of these for about £8 off Amazon. They look similar to what hairdressers and barbers use for their water they spray on you, but they've got adjustable spray nozzles. They're can basically get whatever you want from a direct line out to a spray. You know, it atomizes pretty well, so if that's what you're after, these will do the job just fine. You know, they're quite soft actually, so they're not overly brittle or anything, so when you do drop them, they're not just cracking instantly. And generally, you know, pretty good quality for what they are, which is super cheap pump sprayers. So when it comes to situations where you don't want to use these, so when I'm outside, you know, cleaning engine bays or something, whether using Green Star or Polestar, these are great for, you know, basically spraying in a somewhat uncontrolled manner and then cleaning with them. They are very effective and there's nothing wrong with doing that whatsoever. But when it comes to interior cleaning then, I'm not a big fan of using pump sprayers that are sort of atomizing chemicals where I'm in an enclosed space, sometimes indoors or outdoors, you know, with pretty poor ventilation. So I'm not a huge fan of doing that. So in that case then, what I'll do is I'll substitute this for one of these little pump sprays. This is Polestar mixed at 20 to 1. So what I use this for then is, I've got a suede headlining in the Range Rover, so I use this along with a microfiber for cleaning the headlining. Very effective at that. This is also safe, with it being a pH neutral product, on all leathers, all Alcantaras, normal material seats, anything like that. If you've got fabric, safe on everything. Whereas if you're using a Green Star, that's not suitable for everything interior wise. So although I do have a pump spray made up with that, it's not something I use as much as this one. So I've used this to clean headliners, I've used this to clean back of seats, I've used this to clean leather, dashboards, everything, you name it. One advantage is to doing it this way then, even with a pump spray, you tend to use quite a lot of the product depending on sort of what dilutions you're using, how you're using the spray nozzle and how, you know, basically what you've got coming out of there, whether it's quite atomized or quite direct. It can be quite uncontrolled and using a lot of product. When using one of these little pump sprayers, they're very effective and the foam you get is really nice, straight from the first application. So as you can see there, comes out more like a hand soap than anything. So you're getting a really good all-purpose cleaner in this case from Chemi, which this is Polestar. So as you can see, mixes up nice there and you get a foam straight away. One advantage to doing this then is, if you're using foams in a car or using sprays in a car, say like this, and using it for leather cleaning along with a leather brush, or maybe using a microfiber, something like that, to clean the seats, a lot of people work those products vigorously to try and get foam out of them. So you can spray this directly on or into your brush and then choose to basically scrub quite vigorously to get foaming out of these products. So when you're doing that, you can, you know, maybe go a bit too hard with your leather brush, especially if you're treating ultra soft leather. So in the case of using this then, right from the second it comes out of the nozzle, you've got lovely thick foam, easily spreadable, Really nice to use. I actually have one of these little pump sprayers for my dedicated leather cleaner as well. So I use that, you know, a couple of squirts straight into your leather brush and a couple of squirts straight into your, on your seat if that's what you're doing. So as I mentioned before, if you're not wanting to sort of atomize any of your APCs or other products, leather cleaners or something else you're using in close quarters, maybe in a, you know, poorly ventilated car, if that's what you're doing, even if you are outside, these are a perfect option no matter what you're using, as long as you know, basically dilute them at the recommended ratios. I've not had any problems where they won't foam with anything I'm using. I've used these in the house for different hand soaps and everything, ones that just come in a normal pump bottle, and I've had no issues, you know, getting good foam out of them. As I say, I've used it for a couple of all-purpose cleaners, which in this case is Polestar. I've used one for Green Star. I've also got my dedicated leather cleaner in one of these, and basically it's made my user experience of all those products, especially for interiors, 10 times better. You're not getting, when you're, you know, especially if you're treating sort of leather seats, something like that, and you're worried about spraying everywhere and overspray and contaminating other things that maybe aren't suitable for whatever product you're using, or making a mess in general. These are a perfect way of just controlling that and getting exactly what you want. So I don't really see any disadvantage at using one of these. You know, when you're using these interior wise, great for seats, dashboards, basically carpets, mats, back of your seats, you know, the plastic areas, anything like that. You know, my son, he tends to, as all children do, like to kick mud up the back of my seats in the car. So, you know, quick little pump of this on a microfiber, give it a wipe over, and it's as good as new. You're not spraying, you know, basically chemicals everywhere. You know, if you're doing it into a controlled manner in your microfiber, maybe it's not so bad. If you're spraying it directly onto the back of your seat and then you've got it running everywhere, and you know, that can be a bit of a nightmare. So you can avoid that with these, obviously, spraying directly into the microfiber. With these, whether you go directly onto the surface that you're cleaning, the microfiber, whatever media you're using to clean, such as a leather brush or something, if you're doing that, no issues whatsoever. No running, no streaking. And obviously another advantage to these then is the economy that you get when using them. So when you're using a pump sprayer, you know, not that they're overly pricey to use, but depending on basically how you're mixing it, you can use a lot of product, even if you think, you know, cost per bottle, not that much still, you know, a lot cheaper than buying a dedicated APC, whether it's in car care industry or a household brand, something like that. There can be several pounds, dollars, euros per bottle. These are still very cost effective when you're buying a Green Star or a Polestar or something and diluting them 10 to 1, 20 to 1, depending on application, what you're doing. If you're thinking then this is at 20 to 1 and the amount of product that you're actually using with it turning straight into foam and you're not spraying the liquid out is absolutely minuscule. So you're probably talking to clean a full car interior, obviously depending on the size of the vehicle. So it'll be between 5 and 10 pence or cents, depending where you are, which is super economical. You know, if you're thinking, if you're a hobbyist or you're doing this, you know, as a bit of an enthusiast at home, that's all nice, keeps it down. So if you're a professional using these, then if you can reduce that, you know, cost per use, and every time you're using one of these products, you can, you know, cut the price in half, say, that's only good for business. Basically, if they're still getting the same result from the same product, just using a different application method, and that'd be desirable to everyone. So with that said then, let's get and see this in action. So what we're going to do is we're going to pit, basically, we're going to have a look at this and the application of pump sprayer on a fabric chair that I've got as an example in here, and then we're going to pit that against this and see the differences. So we'll use it on a microfiber, we'll use it on a leather brush, on an upholstery brush, you know, whichever you prefer. I'm sure we'll be able to find some muck on the back of the seats from my young man. So we'll show you how easy that is, stuff like that to get off. We can clean leather, we can clean dashboards, as I've said, great on anything for this particular. So you join me in the garage then. So we've got a nice dirty fabric chair. So I actually tried taking this to the charity shop and they turned it away. So they're happy to accept a lot of the toys and everything, but in this particular instance they said this fabric chair was too dirty. They haven't got any basically anywhere to do these things themselves. So in this case then they've asked if I could take it away and bring it back clean, try somewhere else, or giving it personally to someone. So what we'll try with this is We'll do a bit of a half and half. We won't tape it off as such, but we'll do it best we can, straight down middle. So for this application, we're going to use Green Star in a pump sprayer and also Green Star in this foam applicator. So obviously we've got a difference in dilutions, but we're just showing you application wise what to expect. So when going on with this Green Star then, you know, what you're looking at is a general, you will get a wet application. So you're getting a lot of overspray, a lot of mist and dirt. You can obviously concentrate that. So you can see there, although we've just given this a very quick once over, there's a clear and noticeable difference. Armrests and the seat itself, and that's about taping it off. That's just with a rough line. So instead of spraying directly onto the seat as we did with this one, we'll foam onto the seat. So that allows you to basically, you know, be a lot more controlled about where you put it. And then if you don't want to do that, and you have any instances where that won't work for you, you can go straight onto the applicator or whatever media you're using to give this a wipe. In this case, we can still use leather brush if we want, or this right here. So we're not looking at apples to apples cleaning anyway in this case. You know, one of these products in the spray bottles mixed at 10:1, the other one in the foamer is mixed at 20:1. So when you're looking at cleaning ability and how effective they are, there should be a difference. So we're not necessarily looking at absolute cleaning power today and how good can we get this. We're just having a quick look. Application methods, when it's good, when it's not so good. So when you're looking at super dirty fabric or cloth, seats, upholstery, anything like that, you know, if you're doing sort of disaster detail levels of work, then a pump sprayer might be the thing you need. A traditional pump sprayer really to get that soaked in. Maybe you're wanting to get deep down in that fabric and then get it extracted out. These foams do have their application as well, so for any light cleaning, or especially for, you know, other types of materials such as leather, alcantara, suede, anything where you're not really trying to wet the surface and get it deep down in there. You don't want to soak it through, you're just looking for a light cleaning. So as I mentioned before then, with this, we're not actually trying to get this fabric clean and back to new. So we're just trying to basically show the application differences between a traditional pump sprayer and one of these foam application bottles. So then, here we are. You can see the lovely little marks that my son likes to leave, as many other small children do. They have an affinity for kicking the plastic on the back of the chairs. So I'm going to give this little combo a try. So they have a lock on them, these pump sprayers. Give it a couple of squirts there. And just as normal as you'd expect then, you can apply as you would. You just get product where you want it. An effective cleaning from whatever APC in this case we're using. Another use case we've got here then, so we'll just put one quick spray. Got some mud marks and everything, some little scuffs and everything around here, so I can just sort of dab that on, give that a buff straight in. You also feel a lot more comfortable around speakers such as this one, because you're not spraying products or liquids directly into them, even if you've got a bit of foam on it. It's not as though there's any actual liquid going in there, so a lot safer in that instance too. Set door card cleaned. Any of this stuff in here basically we can clean. So we can clean the leather on the seats, so we can clean any metallic surfaces, any plastics or trims. We've got leather on here, leather all on the dash as well, then that's full leather, and then we've got a suede or Alcantara, whichever, roof liner in here. So all the A, B, C, D pillars and everything, all Alcantara, all clean with this combo right here. This is the exact combo I used, this pump sprayer, one of these microfibers. Cleans that up really nicely, freshens it up a bit, brings the nice smell back. So exactly what you're wanting for you in one of these use cases. Here we are, the next use case then. As discussed before, any plastics, metallic surfaces or any sort of, this is like a textured plasticky material, sort of mimics of carbon fibre, something like that. So something with no issues, you know, putting it on here as well. So again, as before, I'll just put a pump on there, and then no issues at all rubbing this into any of these surfaces. As I've mentioned, you're not pumping any liquids or sprays directly into these buttons or anything, so you've no worries basically about direct liquids going in there. So you're going to get that nice clean, as you would expect. You know, you still got the top quality product that you use in this case, which is Atomised Polestar, mixed at 20:1. Give that a light clean for something that isn't, you know, particularly dirty or anything. There's a bit of dust on there, the odd dog hair, and again, same thing up top if that's what we want to do. One pump on there again, and then what we can do is, yeah, basically spread that around. You can feel perfectly comfortable doing that. You know, like I said before, there's no liquids or anything going in there, so you can work this in, removing any dirt, dust, hairs, anything like that in the process, without fear of basically harming any of these surfaces or getting any liquids in there. If you want to move up to your screens as well, you can use that with just what's on there. Basically, there's a bit of dust on this screen and the surround. No issues with worrying about any streaking or anything on that. There we are again. A little bit of dust that was on there and the surround removed. So, as mentioned before then, we've got another application here, which is my dedicated leather cleaner, which is in one of these pump sprayers. So in this instance, we've also got my go-to leather brush that I use. So what we're going to do in this case is, obviously you want to make sure you've got a generally clean, you know, maybe you've vacuumed or hoovered it first and got most of the bits out. And then with this, you can go straight into here. So we've put two pumps on there. Maybe go a third one in the middle. We haven't primed it, so I'll just show you a quick what's what with this. Usually then, if you're using either one of these or a microfiber, people try to use them overly vigorously just to get foam. So what I'm showing you in this case is basically that you can just pump foam straight onto it, and then once you've done that, makes it much easier for actually applying it. Again, when you've got perforated leather like this, so heated and cooled leather, then you're not looking at spraying loads of liquid products directly into those holes. So that's what it looks like then. And then you can take your microfiber, as before, as you would usually, just wipe that clean. And basically repeat for the rest of that seat. This is another area then, this parcel shelf right here, it tends to get a bit dirty. So this is another favourite of mine to use on this. Again, no issues with any sort of materials or anything, so you can give this either a spray directly onto here if you wanted to, or put it on here or prime this, whatever you're looking to do. Just change sides again, as is good practice. We're holding on the four corners where it's folded just to stop it bunching up and everything. That's that, cleaned. Can go ahead and clean this whole thing if you wanted to, without issue. So it's as easy as that, whole thing cleaned. When you're looking at application differences, obviously that is quite a wet surface now versus the foam, so I'm just give that a brush in. It will foam up if you get enough product on there. You see that there where it's wetted. But these foams, I do like them as they just foam straight from the beginning. Quite easy to spread and really economical. So I like these foaming applications here then. So you know you can foam the area or the brush directly, whichever you want. Spreads around pretty easy. Good for concentrate and anything there. So as you can see there, gets you nice coverage. It actually gets you a pretty nice soak considering. So in this instance then, we've had a look at Polestar cleaning some plastics, some other bits around door cards, back of seats, dashboards, nav screens, suitable for absolutely everything. Can use it on leather. I do use my dedicated leather cleaner, more so than anything because I'm just using it up. It takes that long using this thing, how economical it is. You know, started out as a 500ml bottle. When it got down to sort of 350-ish, I've put it in here. When I started experimenting with these, found out how good it was. Really good. You know, much prefer this. When you pair this with a leather brush, instead of actually spraying it on as you would usually and then having to agitate this and try and get foam and sort of feel like you're getting a bit of that cleaning power, you just get instant foam with this and you can rub it in, and as you'll have seen, you get super nice clean, really economical, really effective and good all-round product really. So can't recommend these highly enough. So I think you're much better off, you know, especially in enclosed spaces and things like that where you don't want to be breathing chemicals in, you know, whether it's leather cleaners, all-purpose cleaners, whatever it may be in your particular case. It's better off not breathing that stuff in than breathing it in, even if you don't think it's particularly harmful, or maybe you are in a quite well ventilated area. You're far better off than using one of these and atomising that chemical and then breathing it in potentially. So using these is a safe option, it's an economic option, and it's enjoyable to use. I don't see why you wouldn't give this a try for yourself. Obviously quite dependent on application, great for interiors and things like that, not so good for anything outside, where you will want something like a traditional spray bottle if you're cleaning outside engine bays and stuff like that. These are a lot better at that scenario, but these certainly have the place. I can't see a reason why you wouldn't want to use one of these. Once you've found it, you know, you'll want to use it full time for everything. You'll be looking at how many things you can actually use it for, both car care, around the house, other cleaning tasks. You'll be wanting to replace all your cleaners that you've got, especially if they are somewhat harmful. And you're worried about, you know, I've had instances where you're cleaning the bathroom, you're in an enclosed space, you're in there spraying products and chemicals, and it sort of gets on your chest and you can, you know, feel it, and you can sort of makes you feel a bit uncomfortable and you get a horrible smell. Some of those really corrosive products, or even some of the strong glass cleaners, are really potent. If you wanted to replace some of those with something like this, it's perfectly doable. You'll get nice thick foam, increased product economy, and it's a win all round. So I hope off back of today then, and off back of seeing this, you'll go out and test these yourself. There's a link in the description down below where to pick these up on Amazon. These are the 350ml 4-pack that I got, and they'll be linked below. They're the ones that I purchased myself for this exact one. So go give it a try for yourself. Let me know if you've used something similar. There are other people using similar things to this online that you can find. A lot of people like to use the more cylindrical ones. These are more of a hand soap sort of shape, and there's a dispenser for hand soaps. That's what they're for traditionally, but when used in these instances, just as effective as any other pump foamer that you would buy. So why wouldn't you give these a try? So I hope you've enjoyed today's product review on these little foam pumpers. Hopefully, and you'll go give these a try yourself and find out just how good they are, both cost effective and how much easier they can make your cleaning routine.